Greetings everyone, here's Lodrik and this is the Game War in the Pacific Admins Edition. This is my play by email match against KilRoy. He is the commander of the Allied Forces. I choose Japan. This is the first March of 1942 turn. Scenario 1, no modification, everything very standard. Last turn was really the end of the Java operations. The last British-Dutch forces surrendered. Menado also fall. And a little sub-activity from my side, but not too much. So my destroyer minesweepers, normally I don't use them for sweeping mines, but I just had them here. So they sweep. And here you can see a CLAA, so a flak anti-aircraft light cruiser. This is a Dutch one. I think the only one the Dutch have. And there was a torpedo hit with a magazine explosion. So very likely this ship will not survive. So far, if there was a magazine explosion, I think every ship sunk so far, I know. Yeah, there's also a sinking some. And there's an AM near to Brisbane. Yeah, luckily no on my ship. This is my sub to try to blockade the entries of Fiji, but of course not easy, especially against the destroyers. And here is now the KilRoy's battleship fleet. I have here a patrol ship guarding my port, simply for anti-submarine and whatever. We can see here the task force is Prince Wales and Repulse, so this both British battleships escaped at the beginning of the war, because we had this agreement that I don't must attack Pearl Harbor, and for this KilRoy can use any task force on the map at the 7th December and give them new orders. He only cannot create new task forces. I think this is a fair deal. Of course you can always change your rules. So this was why these two battleships escaped, and then we have only one heavy cruiser and a bunch of light cruisers plus destroyers. Luckily I had here some submarines, and you can also use submarines more or less like for defense operation, and I keep here one submarine in the port and I get 2 torpedo hits on the Prince of Wales. That is lucky, but yeah, I would say it's still lucky, because there was many destroyers normally to escorting this battleship, so this will give KilRoy a hard time to escape here. And yeah, now my airstrike trying to give additional damage to these ships. Prince of Wales is already in flames. Port strike. remember that the torpedo attacks can only happen from port strike and starboard side. Now I get the torpedoes in the repulse. 2 at least. Attack from ahead will be always automatically a failure if you have torpedo loaded. Astern is also not possible with torpedoes. I think this is simply related to the skills of the pilots. If you have high skills, the pilots will not attack in this direction. But I don't know, maybe it's if you have 100% Navy attack skill with torpedoes, then maybe you will always attack in the right direction. So if you have only 70%, then you have only this high chance. But hard to say how the game really calculated. Anyway, so this battle report says now, or shows now, that the Prince of Wales had already 2 torpedoes from the rowboat, but now looks fine again. The repulse gets the 2 torpedoes, but no fire, no heavy damage. Again, a torpedo can create a lot of damage, but not must create a lot of damage. You also can see here, maybe not everyone knows this here, that the Betty, Nell bombers and most airplanes, they carry always 1 torpedo, but this flying boats, patrol boats, I think they always carry 2 torpedoes. Also Catalinas, they're carrying 2 torpedoes, and the H6, H8, they also carry 2 torpedoes. So much more dangerous. Good, now a little air strike in China. This is more or less now the usual stuff. And again, my tactic is more or less that I only produce Ki 30 light bombers in small numbers. I produce Ki 48 and Ki 21, and also normally only with the amount of factories already the game starts. I don't invest anything in this kind of production, but I keep the production on. But at least in this game I try to get the Helen 2A for armor protection, that they have at least a chance to survive enemy interceptors. And no additional airstrikes. Ooh, now the Corvette is hunting my sub and get 1 hit. Luckily I have no Maya nearby, so if my sub gets damaged, then I can make a return. So this is now KilRoy's, I think, attempt to bombard the base, and maybe my sub was only interfering with his activity, or his bombardment would maybe happen earlier. And now I have here many of my airplanes damaged on the ground. Destroyed only 1, maybe a little more. But But the battleships are not bombarding, so maybe because the battleships getting damaged, and so the game will normally create then. If the damage is too high, I think the game will kick them out of a task force and create a new escort task force. I don't know, cannot see here now. So his bombardment was not so strong. So maybe this was a lucky combination that my sub stopped the battleships, and then my torpedo bombers was able to attack the repulse, so both heavy ships getting disabled before they can make this bombardment. But I cannot tell you 100%. I also catch up with this fleeing Chinese forces from Xi'an. Not much left. What is left is retreating again. 2 units are destroyed and the rest. But you can see the numbers of destroyed is not so high. Simply because there's not much more left. The Mongolian army takes this dot base, there's nothing inside. And this was all. So at the end it was a successful day for me. The bombardment was not strong enough to completely wipe out my air base. Now KilRoy have maybe the choice to try to bombard with his battleships and disable my air force in Omaya, or try to run away. But I have a range of up to 20 hexes. This, even with no, even if there's no flotation damage, this is normally hard to catch. With flotation damage, maybe KilRoy will never be out of range. But the weather can maybe help him. And my airstrikes are always a little, not very aggressive. So I lost here 6 Bettys. You can see on the ground, flag, ops losses is something, but not critical. Out of these 6 pilots, 4 are wounded and only 2 gets killed. Ship sunk. Yeah, of course. Always every ship is sinking if there's a 1 torpedo hit, but of course both of these ships are not dead. I hear no sinking sound at all. Not after the torpedo attacks here. What was sinking is maybe this light cruiser. And what I was thinking is surprisingly is this is an official light cruiser. It have only 3,500, nearly 4,000 tons, so it's at the edge of destroyer light cruiser. But I would say that is maybe, if you can see the cost of this ship, if victory points are money costs, then this is maybe one of the best anti-aircraft ships, I think, in the game. It's, if I give 1 battleship away, but get 10 or 20 of this kind of flag cruisers, that would be perfect. I think this is a really good anti-aircraft ship. Of course, the Allies, they don't have so many of this. The Dutch only had 1, if I'm right. And good that this ship is now dead. And my patrol boat is of course also dead. Good. In China, the successful march on Lenshao will continue. I took the dot base and I was able to win here 1 battle. 1 unit is left. Cost me 1 more turn to finish it. Sooner or later I can concentrate my forces on Changsha. Not that it is really super necessary for me, but sooner or later I must take this base simply to get a better supply flow. Burma, Rangoon, empty, no activity here. And I choose now to walk into this swamp. I would maybe not do this again, at least not with my tanks, but at this stage of the game I was thinking, okay, maybe it's possible, maybe the tanks are not so slow, but tanks are more slow in swamps than infantry. So it's really make no sense to bring any tanks in the swamp. No other activity. I start here to pick up some bases slowly. This Raboul operation is still no activity. The big surprise and the big gamble for KilRoy was this bombardment on my Nomaya, and if maybe his battleships was successful and damaged my base before I strike, then, and if there was no submarine, it had a potential to at least disable or set back my air power here in this region. But now I was able to damage both battleships with 2 torpedoes. How strong the damage is the other question. And half of my, no, more than half of my float boats are disabled or under maintenance, so there's no strike force power left. And I also have here only 11 Bettys, so I have not much I can really throw on them now immediately. And my carriers are not in range, so that will all not work. But I think what I have is, I have here other Nell bomber group in Raboul. So maybe I'm able to send these guys to Nomaya. This will give them fatigue. But with a little luck, they still have the power and the motivation to still fly at the same day after they're making this long range transfer flight. We will see. Or maybe they don't fly this turn, maybe they fly next turn. But if I fly to Nomaya with these units now, KilRoy still have 2 battleships here. He can maybe bombard this base again. Then maybe half of this air group will be damaged, destroyed. It's always a risky operation. I can also hope, not that I have here too many, but I have here some mines here. My sub is also here. I will bring my sub back, of course. Maybe it can attack. Maybe I get a little lucky like before. Good. And of course, no sight of any forces at the Marshall Islands. So what I can do, I call back my carriers. Back to Raboul. Refuel. Damage. Yeah, and because I make here, I think, some high speed. And the high speed to damage my engines. So now I normally must bring back this carrier for 2-3 days repair in Raboul. So high speed, full speed is always dangerous for the engines. I don't know if the allies have better engines, but I think at least with the Japanese, if I use full speed with Japanese ship, it's really very often possible to get damaged engines. Good. Maybe some short note on other stuff. I was not more sure. No, here not. I think later in the game I first realized this. Up to now it is okay. But normally Hokkaido, northern islands of Japan, is for production of resources very well. I mean, here's a lot of I don't know more which base is a lot of resources. You can normally mine here a lot of resources. 60 resources. I don't know where they are. 20. Ah, yeah, 860 resources. So you will get a lot of resources, and you can normally ship them out of Sapporo or here in the source. And then I always bring them to the North main islands. But here's also some heavy industry, and depending or related to how much you push this, and I push here the heavy industry heavily, you also need here fuel. And there's no refinery on this island. You have your oil, not much, but a little oil, but you will not create here fuel. And so it is necessary that you keep an eye on your fuel level here. Supplies is not a problem because you produce your own supplies with light industry. You can normally always ship supplies out of this northern island to the main island. But in the future, I will not keep an eye on this, or I forgot to check it for 1 or 2 weeks, and then I realized, oops, no fuel more, heavy industry will shut off. I mean, light industry don't need it, but heavy industry need always fuel. So yeah, keep an eye on this. Because it's still not related, there's no link between these islands, so there is no automatic flow of resources and fuel and so on. Good. Other note, maybe I can make a short check because maybe it's the beginning of the month. We can maybe check air losses, total air losses. I mean, again, this is a fog of war. My numbers are true. The allies can, I think, change between 5 to 10% up or down. So the number one kill is still this Dutch twin engine bombers, then Buffaloes. These are British Buffaloes, American P-40s, Dutch Buffaloes, then my Japanese Zeros, Flying Tigers, P-39, 40. I still don't remember if there's. I think they are P-40s. Hudson's bombers, twin engine, and you can see on so on and so on. So you can see that KilRoy lost a lot of this. I mean, Buffaloes are Buffaloes. They are normally no match against Zeros. And the next is that if you use skillful Japanese pilots in Zeros against just so British, Dutch pilots, you normally must win. The air kill ratio is here roughly 10.8 to 3.8. So 3 to 1, something like this, roughly. And the others is all small fish. There's not too much to be, I don't know. Yeah. All is 1, 1, 1, 1. Good. Top pilots. I still have one pilot with 11 kills and 2 with 10. E2 is still the number one guy with experience. And he's far better than everyone else. And I don't really know how many aces I have here. Oh, if I must make aces like this so you can see. Not completely the page full. So up to now I never sent any elite pilot to the training Trapcom. In this game I simply say no, I don't need it. I won't try how, I mean later maybe I can do this, but up to now I keep them all in active duty. I don't know really how many I could have. These are only fighter pilots. Also, you can get some bomber pilots with over 80. But of course, it's much easier to get fighter pilots, I think, over 81 than other bombers. So I also don't know how many elite pilots I have here. It's hard to catch here. You can count them, but maybe you can use tracker for this. But other information about this. Ship sunk. Oh yeah, maybe we can do this. So all ships I lost so far related to, well, yeah, related to maybe victory points or. So I lost 2 AMCs. So this has this heavy support, invasion fleet, cargo ships, whatever. The big military stuff I lost. This has this 2 light cruisers plus 2 first-class destroyers. Other first-class destroyer. This is also a first-class destroyer, so 4 first-class destroyers and 4 destroyer minesweepers. Okay. The light cruisers are maybe not the big. The 4 destroyers are maybe the most important. Plus 1 fleet, 2 fleet submarines. Yeah. Not too much up to now, not too much. For the allies, fog of war, yeah, Prince of Wales and Repulse, of course, not sunk. So No heavy units. Hermes may be sunk, likely, but I'm not 100% sure. And then you can see that KilRoy also lost not heavy equipment. He lost some heavy cruisers, 1, 2, 3 heavy cruisers up to now, much more light cruisers, and a bunch of, he lost a lot of tankers, no, not maybe tankers, but cargo ships, tankers, civilian support stuff, also a bunch of destroyers, and all this small craft stuff. Who cares? I mean, normally everything less than 6 points is not, or less than 5 points is not really important. Maybe the destroyers are something starting to have impact. And he lost a lot of submarines at the Manila attack. Good. Yeah. Then one last view on my industry maybe here. You can see here my actual output of supplies. So 16,000, 10,000, and no, here supply production 16,000, 10,000, and 2,700. Yeah. So I coming close to 30,000, or yeah, and I try to get 32,000, maybe maximum 33,000. Still, I have not enough oil, I think, to feed my refineries. I have here 21,000 oil production, but I have a request of 27,000, so I still lacking roughly 6,000 tons of oil per day, crude oil. I need more oil in the long run. Engines. I have only one factory for the H60, simply because I think it's make really no sense to really have more. But up to your A&D maybe a little. H32 is now at 250 nearly, so half the way is done. So H33 is getting better, but still need 160 more engines to get the bonus. So I have here 5 for H43. Simply, this needs really long time. You get only 1% for each factory, so 5% per day. Same with the H45. So H34 and 35 are both far, well, yeah, also not in range of the 500. But this is first the beginning of March. I think in April I need the 500. I still have a little time left. So this is my production: 100 Zeros, 30 torpedo bombers, 30 dive bombers roughly. The jack I switch off. I don't really need so many, but I also think it's make more sense to better have only one factory on high numbers to produce stuff and not many factories, because later on you maybe need other factories for other airframes. But I don't say you must do it like this way, but I figure out, I think it's better to have one factory with high production numbers and not trying 3 or 4 at the same time. You can also see that some stuff is already switched off. Especially the dive bomber and the jack I switched off temporarily, simply because I want to save as many H33 engines as possible, because I already have 1, 2, 3 factories running the H6 M8, and this one needs the bonus, or it could use the bonus. I need 500 engines of this type, of the type H33, to get double A&D out of this. Now I get only 1% per day. If I have the 500, I get 2% per day. Good. Here you can see the rest is coming. After the 0, the next will go in or will be activated is normally the H6. Oh, no, of course I forgot. The first was Helen. Helen was number 1 with H35. The 0 is number 2 with H33. If you don't go for the H6M8, the other option is to go for the A6M5, the normal 5 I would maybe say. Then you need the bonus for the H35 engine, not for 33. Only the M8 will use the 33. So this is a number 2 airframe I need. So the first engine I need is a 34, then I need 33. And the third airframe will use, or can use, this R&D bonus will be the H8K1. And this needs the H32. So normally push first this 34, then push 33, and 32 is the number 3, and 30 or 35. But the question is how to push. I mean, you cannot really push. I simply give my engine factories everyday production, everyday upgrade. And you can only upgrade, each factory tool can only upgrade 1 per day. So there is not really much more I can do. You can only choose what the factory is producing. And then I simply let it upgrade every day. One more, one more, one more, one more, one more, non-stop. Yeah. Good. Everything else here to say or to see? Oscars needs still long time. Totros needs long time. Helen's, we will see. In this game I go for Helen 2A first, and then I go for Helen 2B later on. Yeah, the rest is all far away. Good, thank you all, see you next time, take care, bye bye.